Welcome back to the show, everybody. Check out these headlines. Yesterday, at the International Monetary Fund spring meeting, the Digital Currency Monetary Authority announced the official launch of an international central bank digital currency. And Ripple makes it official. They got a new central bank, baby. We got that and so much more. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You can follow us on Twitter and YouTube for exclusive content. Right now, we're at $1.29 trillion market cap for crypto. The market is up 4.4% this morning. Good morning, everyone. Bitcoin now over $30,000, $30,120.63. We see Ethereum is now almost $2,000 at $1,916 and change. Tether market cap is 80.3 plus billion, ladies and gentlemen. And XRP is 52 cents. We're up 3.1% in the last 24 hours and 4.7 on the 7-day. Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't looked at it here, it's iTrust Capital. I believe myself that iTrust Capital is the best crypto IRA on the planet. And by the way, you get institutional custody when you work with your IRAs with iTrust Capital. You can't get institutional custody for a retail investor anywhere, but you can here. You can roll over your 401k, TSP, 403b, 457, and so much more. Click the link to my sponsor underneath of the video and check it out. I tell you right now, the only thing better than getting crypto is getting tax-free crypto. Look at this guy, Max Kaiser, tearing up money. We've all seen it before, but I want to show you this especially today to set the tone about the news we're going to be taking a look at here. Take a listen.
Let me explain something to you right now. Okay, here's a $10 bill. This is garbage. This is garbage. You people in South Africa, you have your rand, right? That's going to zero. That's going to zero. This is going to zero too. Euros are going to zero. The yen's going to zero. The Chinese currency is going to zero. It's all going to zero against Bitcoin. If you don't
Here's what we know here, okay? Let's talk about this. First of all, the dollar has issues. There's no mistake about that. But when you make it your policy to sit on camera everywhere you go and to tear money up and to talk about how it's going to zero, all you really have done is shown everyone in the world the best way to get a U.S. government bullseye on your back. That's what's happening here. And that doesn't help your cause. In fact, I think it puts you front and center to be recognized that you're going to be somebody that they need to stop. I want you to take a listen to this. BRICS is not playing goodbye, U.S. dollar. Take a listen to what's said here by this former South African president here. Take a listen.
Many countries are saying, in order to avoid this consequence of the imposition of sanctions by the United States, on the basis that you are using their currency, in order to avoid the consequences of sanctions that arise from that, let's walk away from the dollar. When Russia trades with China, there's no reason why they must use dollars to exchange. None. I saw that even India is saying the same thing. So globally, there's a discussion that is taking place to say we must find alternative means of trading among ourselves and not subject ourselves to the situation where there's one currency in the world, which becomes a global reserve currency. Because it gives the country that is the issuer of the money, that's the United States, it gives it the power to impose its will.
And that's been the problem. And we know it. And we're at that point where the world is beginning to do something about it. And I personally believe that you don't get to do something about it without the U.S. giving you a blessing, albeit behind the scenes or not. I don't think you do something like this without the U.S. knowing about it. Now, this change, this transition, whether we're talking about BRICS creating their new payment system and then a new reserve currency for their coalition, or whether we're just talking about the introduction of CBDCs or CBDCs versus Bitcoin, take a listen to this quick clip here from Fox.
eventually want to get rid of most banks. Now, the big ones are too big to fail. But in the end, the ultimate objective is to essentially wipe all of the banks out so that your bank will be the Federal Reserve. Everything will be centralized. And again, this is not really about the money, although of course it is. This is about power and control.
That's right.
Because the government, such as it is, will have access to all of the information related to every single transaction you make. You buy a stick of gum, the government will know. You buy a new car, the government will know. Oh, you bought the wrong car. You didn't buy an EV. Now you're going to get penalized. So in the end, Sean, this is really a move toward a CCP style social credit system. And they're using this move to a central bank digital currency as the biggest lever to try to get us there.
It's important. And, then he goes on to talk about the difference of Bitcoin. And listen, I think we all know that proof of work has very serious issues. I think we all also know that when Max Kaiser is your poster child tearing up dollar bills as his message to the world, all you're doing is making yourself a target because you're challenging the system as it is. However, with that being said, I am not an advocate for central bank digital currencies in the manner that was just described here. I don't want someone telling me I can't spend my money if I drove too far away from my house. I don't want somebody telling me I can't spend my money because I used too much gasoline this month, or I bought too many cheeseburgers, or I didn't buy enough of whatever. You guys know the drill, right? You understand the limitations that could be placed on us if our money is in direct control of the Federal Reserve or the government. And this is why I subscribe to what Cristian Carlo has talked about, is having private sector involvement or layers of private sector involvement in between those entities so there cannot be any direct control, and that there be a constitutional standard that respects the privacy right to our money, be it paper or digital. But make no mistake about it, we know the BIS has told us clearly, this is about absolute control.
A key difference with the CBDC is that central bank will have absolute control on the rules and regulations that will determine the use of that expression of central bank liability.
And he goes on, and I think that's enough to know right there that should scare the hell out of all of us, because they're going to want to do what's in their own best interest, what has no respect to citizenship, be it around the globe or this country. Now, I want you to listen to here is President Zuma views on loan sharks, IMF, and World Bank, including establishment of BRICS Bank. We've always said it's about remaining in control and being relevant. And here you're going to get real testimony, I believe, from President Zuma, who tells you that when the IMF or World Bank or the U.S. wants to loan you money, it comes with strings attached, ladies and gentlemen.
Now, if you deal with in terms of the BRICS, we are not looking at one another as former subjects, etc. We look at some as partners. We might not be of the same strength, but there is that kind of respect and understanding. Now, I think the old world has to change its attitude towards what is happening today. They must realize the world has changed. That's why, for an example, we've been calling for the transformation of the organization that were established at the end of the last World War. Because if you don't realize that things have changed, we're going to be left behind. There may be more banks in the line of BRICS.
Mr. President, you have actually said that African countries have gotten into trouble by relying on IMF and the World Bank. I've read many articles and reports that are actually decrying Western infrastructure for helping and giving aid to African countries. And also a lot of African economists are saying that this sort of aid to Africa fosters a culture of dependency and also slows down the African growth. Why is that? Do you see problems with Western aid to African countries at this point?
We've had difficulties. Even the help that we get is having so much strings attached. They don't give you and say, well, fine, do what will help you. They want to dictate as well. What is it that you should do? And this is a problem. You can't utilize that kind of assistance the way you want. So in a sense, it has conditions that will keep you dependent all of the time.
And that's the point right there, ladies and gentlemen. And then that brings us here to Russian UN envoy here tells reporters that BRICS nations are moving towards reconfiguring the world order and de-link the global economy from the dollar itself. Take a listen.
We've been talking about the need to de-link us from the dependence on dollar and other foreign Western currencies, long time. And that is not just an issue for Russia, but for many other countries, because you know what happens after EU, US, and some other countries introduced how they call it, health sanctions against Russia. It didn't help them much, but it tells us that they are not reliable. Their financial system is not something that we can rely upon, knowing that they at any time they can switch off or rather swift off the international payment system, that dollar transactions are not reliable anymore. They sanctioned the dollar itself because now the dollar cannot travel to Russia officially. So we have to find ways how to move to a new system of exchanges with countries that are friendly to us, and we need to find this trend has started not with 22nd of February 2022. We've been speaking that we need to de-dollarize the world economy before it, and we want
de-dollarize the world economy. That's what he just said. That is where we're going. And in that, we're going to see, I believe, a lot of competition. And I think that we get some clarity here on the digital asset XRP, and we'll see exactly that. Reminder right here from Bank of England, Ripple Labs contributed and supported submission in Digital Pound Foundation. It breaks it all down right here. They talk about Ripple, XRP, the CBDC private ledger. You guys know all about it. Shout out to Mr. Mann for this clip. Public-private relationship or approach is needed to ensure maximum utility of any CBDC issued. We believe the private sector solutions such as a neutral bridge asset like XRP, supported by software solutions. This is amazing. Like the CBDC private ledger could have an important role to play in supporting healthy liquidity markets that allow for frictionless, cost-effective value movement between new forms of digital money in real time, enabling exchange of less liquid digital money pairs and increasing competition by lowering entry barriers. So on and so on. We all know the drill. Look, this is why I believe that, look, Ripple has been going from both ends of this thing. Grassroots from the ground up. Developers building things, new ideas, new ways to change business models that already exist. And they've also been coming at this thing from the top down. Now, that is a much harder approach because the banks are stubborn. They make money off of the friction. They don't want to give up the new system because if they're king of the hill of the old system, why would they want anything to change at all? But look at the scenario of what's happening around the world, whether it's bank runs or whether it is a fractionalized financial system being developed with BRICS coalition. A change is going to come. I've never pretended to know when. But there will be a moment, just as it was with the birth of the internet. And remember, the birth of the internet was not a grassroots approach. It was adopted by the government and military first. We have not seen that as of yet with this technology. I am looking out for a top-down event to take place where we see a value protocol either given some form of clarity or adopted by a government in usage that allows the floodgates to open up because everyone understands that this is a trusted network. That moment has yet to happen. But with the event and the development of CBDCs around the world and Ripple's involvement in the use of XRP and private ledgers, I think that moment is going to come, myself personally. The Digital Currency Monetary Authority, the DCMA, this here from the Digital Pound Foundation, for which Ripple is a part of, announced this. Today, the International Monetary Fund, IMF spring meetings of 2023, the DCMA announced their official launch of an international central bank digital currency that strengthens the monetary sovereignty of participating central banks and complies with the recent crypto asset policy recommendations proposed by the IMF. This is known as a universal monetary unit, known as a UMU, with a symbol as a U with the mark over top of it, is legally a money commodity, can transact any legal tender settlement currency, and functions like a CBDC to enforce banking regulations and protect the financial integrity of the international banking system. Banks can attach SWIFT codes and bank accounts to UMU digital currency wallet, and transactions SWIFT like cross-border payments over digital currency rails, completely bypassing correspondent banking systems and best price wholesale FX rates with instantaneous real-time settlement. Now, I did look into this and went to the site here. You can go look at it, free to look at it too, umu.cash. You could check that out. I don't see anything directly that suggests that Ripple is behind this or XRP is involved. But you have to wonder, the Digital Pound sharing this, knowing that Ripple is a partner of this, is this something that Ripple may be behind the scenes helping with, or the XRP ledger using to help make markets for? I don't know the true answer to that. Or is this a complement to what Ripple and the XRP ledger already provide? Or is this competition? And that would be good too. Nothing wrong with some good old-fashioned competition, should it be. But here we have another announcement. We talked about Ripple and Montenegro that were in talks about the development of a CBDC. Well, you know what, ladies and gentlemen? It's official. The Central Bank of Montenegro announced on April 11th that it had signed an agreement with Ripple for the development of a strategy and pilot program for the Montenegrin digital currency in the form of a central bank digital currency or a stable coin. Come on in, Ripple. Come on in. That's what I'm talking about. That's where we're going to leave it on this day. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe. Leave a comment below. Remember, it's not financial advice from me or anyone else. It's just my digital perspectives. I'll catch all of you on the next one.